G'day traders, we're going to wrap up of Monday the 2nd of July. So this little candle, red candle here is one we're looking at. What I'd say about this area is, approach it like 1 minute chart. We always say look at these daily charts, just like you're approaching 1 minute chart. Now the fact is there's momentum and there's pressure on the upside here, but it's coming up to quite a significant level. So until it kind of gets above that level and then even starts to come back, it's going to use that as support. But for now, there's a little bit of a resistance there. It looks likely to push through, but what I'd say is be careful of a bit of a pushback. Um, so that's kind of what we had to start off with. It started to head down, but then it started to hold and form and go to the upside. So, a day that's likely to get both sellers and buyers, but I'd still put more of a weight bearing to the buyers. So once this started to kind of bottom out here, form a bit of a double bottom and head up, I think it's very likely that you're going to start to get a continuation of these buyers and really go with the momentum and the direction that we're seeing in those daily charts. Looking at these 5-minute charts here, just to break it down a little bit more, we started pushing up. We had this real solid push down. You can see there over 10 minutes, and that was news affected. So obviously the market reacted to some news there, and you can see these candles are really quite volatile, like massive candles there. Each candle, even through here, is a good 3, 4, 5 point something. So in a typical situation like this, it's really best to wait and let it settle down. I think around about here, 11:30 onwards, is where it started to settle down and get back into a pattern. So obviously around here, what's happening is actually take a step back. As this market popped up, popped down, popped down like this, so I was watching the downside here. So even though it's still quite volatile at this stage, looking at the other markets as the predictive's crossing down and trying to gauge whether this is going to push down and continue on the sell side. Remembering at the moment that the markets are on the upside, the overall dailies. But round here, if you look at the Russell and the Nasdaq, a few things like that, they were sitting quite high. They weren't all sitting at these lows and looking to break. So I think it was quite evident that it didn't want to go right there. The market popped up here, started to push down again. So at this stage here, this is an area to be very careful of. Technically, I guess this is a 5-minute sell. No, it's quite sideways there, but what we're getting here is holding formations. The market's failed to push lower here. It's popped up, come back, it's kind of gripped and held, and then pushed higher. So there was a bit of a resistance level through here to about 13.53.50, but as it's approaching that area, be very careful. Likely to get some pressure to pop up through that. So certainly an area that looked like it was forming to the buy side and holding it and pushed higher. And once it got above this 13.53 area, that's where it pushed higher. And this new uptrend really started to go, and from here it's pushed and consolidated and broken through all these sort of swing highs over here. So this has really consolidated the uptrend. Then through here it's had a bit of a pullback again. It's come back and tested this 13.53.50 area and held and then pushed higher here. So this particular area here, don't mind this as far as an area that could really potentially push and go higher. In the end it kind of topped out, came back just, and then it pushed higher. So I wanted to have a second go, but if you look at this, from an overall perspective, support levels are high, holding, it's pushing up. It's likely to get a bit of a push back off this area here, like we talked about the dailies. But at some stage, as all the other markets are holding, it's going to go higher and eventually get there, which is what it did. So having a look on the 1-minute chart, here's this very much news influenced area. This is where we came down, touched this lower second time, came a third time. Other markets just weren't showing any sort of inkling that they wanted to push through here. So as far as power fading to low or something like that, it's one to be very careful of. This is where we start to get these holding formations. So something like this, as it starts breaking up higher, any sort of pullback power point is the one you want to look for. It never really came back far enough. Even through here, it's bouncing off that support of around 13.53. It just kept on pushing higher, and you can see no lower power points were hit. They're the sort of things you want to see. I guess power fades like this one aren't too bad of an option either, because we formed a bit of a swing high here. It kind of shows on the 5-minute charts over here. So here's a bit of a high. It's coming back and holding, and if you're seeing the other markets pushing up and things like that, sort of these power fades here are the ones that you could potentially look at, but you really want to gauge and make sure the other markets are pushing in your direction. So that's a wrap up for Monday. Remembering the market's only half a day on Tuesday and then actually close on Wednesday. But we'll do a so yeah, there probably won't be a wrap up Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'll speak to you guys again Thursday.